Well, good morning, everybody. How's it going? This is Dylan. Dylan Talks Tone. This is our weekly live show on Thursdays where we do a live FAQ. We have a lot of kind of fun things happening. If you are watching this in replay, which you may not be watching it right now, we're also checking in. This is just going to be a little bit of a check-in for everybody since we're all supposed to be staying home and all that sort of stuff. So check in and say hello. Even if you don't normally comment, if you don't have any questions, it doesn't matter. Um, just say hi so we know you're good. No matter where you are in the world, that would be awesome because that's what community is for, and especially when we need it, let's just hang out. Okay, so we got a couple of very cool things happening. I want to talk to you about in a few minutes. We're going to get straight to our Patreon questions. So the way this works is if you cannot make it live and you have a guitar gear related question that you want answered, go over to patreon.com/Dylan Talks Tone and you can ask that question there. And I will make sure that we include it in this morning's FAQ. If you are on live and there's tons of comments going, I can't always keep up on it. You can always use a super chat. That thing flags me and then it tells me that that you have a question. And then that makes sure that we get your question answered. Also, it just kind of depends on how many people are, how busy it is this morning. So, thanks for hanging out this morning. Let's get straight to these YouTube questions, and then I'll come back in on the thread, the chat thing, and say hello in here in just a minute. So, our Patreon patron Zoltan, which he has obviously the coolest name. Zoltan is like the coolest name ever. He says, I'm following up on last Monday's nuts video. I have a 5-string bass with a Graphtec Tusk nut and the open 4th string, the E. So that would be, if we're talking about the low E, rattles pretty badly against its string tree. Oh, that would be the high E. Regardless of whether the string tree is really needed, that obviously means that too much vibration is getting across the nut. Could that be because the slot is too wide? If so, is there another solution than cutting the new nut? So there's a couple of things could be happening here. Anytime you have a rattle at the nut, you're right, something is loose. But that also doesn't necessarily mean that the nut is too wide. You're right, it could be rattling back and forth in the nut slot. If it's not that, the other thing that could be is the nut could be wearing, and so it'd be difficult to illustrate this. Let's see if I can do it with a cell phone cable. So if the string, and it's about this thick, comes across the nut, and this will happen with a bass. See what happened when you bend something thick? See how when I bend it down here and it goes over the nut? See how this pops up a little bit? That can happen if, well, almost to like a microscopic level basically, and will wear the nut in the wrong spot. So make sure first of all that your string trees are in the right place. If they're factory placed, they're probably in the right place. But chances are the angle, the break angle of the nut is what's wrong. It's probably not wearing out side to side. It's probably wearing out as it breaks over to go to the peg head. That's typically what happens. The bad news is the only real way to fix that is to cut a new nut. So that's the only bad thing about that is what I would say there. But I would definitely try it to replace the nut on it. Let's see. Carlos from our Patreon thread says, I also have a nut related question. Based on everything you mentioned with the nuts, and this came up a lot this week actually across YouTube. Based on everything you mentioned with nuts, I'm surprised you don't advocate for 0 frets, thinking only stainless steel, since correct me if I'm wrong, that wouldn't wear the way you mentioned a brass nut wears. zero frets are cool. So the situation with a zero fret is the fret, they basically put a fret that is like 20 thousandths of an inch higher than the first fret. And then that acts as your nut. And then the nut actually sits behind that zero fret, and it guides the strings through so that they're spaced correctly. But it doesn't actually, the strings don't actually ride in the plastic part. They actually sit on top of that nut, that zero fret, that is about 20 thousandths higher than, or whatever your action is set at, higher than the first fret. The thing about them is you could only set them one way, and for a person to be able to service them or use to change them or to do any work, it's very difficult. um, Zero Glide, for example, is a company who makes a retrofittable zero fret that fits. Maybe I'll put a link to it in the description of this video later when we're done. But it's basically, you can take out your nut, and then it's notched, and it's got a space for a zero fret to go in there. Setup is a lot. It takes a lot of fiddling to get them right. Um, that's the problem. It is not as serviceable for somebody who's not an experienced technician. That is probably the number one knock against them. They're really cool. Zero frets are very cool. Gretches, for example, there's a bunch of old like Vox guitars and a lot of old Japanese guitars, from the 60s have them. They're really neat. They're really cool. And there's really nothing wrong with them. In fact, they're very effective, except they're not serviceable. That's probably the main knock on them. Um, but that's a really good question. We had that a lot this week, that particular question about zero frets. Everybody's like, I want to know about zero frets. Um, and, tone wise and stuff, like we talked about in this video last week, I think this is just another one of those things where people really get hung up on the actual material itself, when the setup of the thing is probably 95% of the tone and the effectiveness of whatever nut material you're using. And I think with some of these other questions, we're going to get into a couple other materials. Let's see. Sassy Cat says, I watched your video on different nut materials and was curious to know if a nut could be made of wood, stone, glass, acrylic. Thanks in making these great FAQ videos. Yeah, dude, you could make a nut out of basically anything. I've used buffalo horn before. I've used deer antler. Deer antler doesn't work very good because it's real spongy. Bone is sponge. Bone is very spongy, and so depending on what bone you use, it depends on how hard it is, and it can be very inconsistent. It also stinks and is very gross. It's just gross to use. So that's why, another reason why I don't use it. But yeah, you could make a nut out of anything. For example, old Dan Electros have rosewood saddles. All kinds of violins and everything have ebony and other hard woods for saddles and nuts. A violin has is it maple? I don't actually know, but is that saddle that kind of looks like this and stands up like a upright base or something? That saddle is made out of wood. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different materials you could use, and it would be fun to experiment. But again, you have to go back to wear and the longevity of the thing, or otherwise you'll run into other issues like Zoltan's running into with his bass, where you have these weird noises because you have weird and uncommon or unconventional wear patterns because of the material that you used, and then you end up having issues. So, I mean, yeah, try anything, but just remember that there's gives and takes to everything, and it's possible that you'll end up with another problem. So that's why I just, this is one area where I'm not super adventurous. I don't really care, to tell you the truth. Tusk nuts work awesome, so I use them. And I don't. If somebody came along with another material that was similar, some kind of new space age thing, it would be cool. I've thought about using carbon fiber, but carbon doesn't actually wear very well either, and it's gross to work with because it's carbon and it gets really dirty. And I don't think it would actually be very self lubricating either, because carbon is really, once you grind into it below like the gel coat portion of it, it's really high friction actually. So I don't think it would work very good. Great question. Dave says, thoughts on covered versus uncovered humbuckers. We want to do a video on this. It's probably coming very soon. This will, when we talk about giveaways here in a few minutes, this is going to be in that vein. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Overall, like, I like uncovered pickups for sure. But there is a large percentage of the population who will not be able to tell a difference. So this falls into, okay, this just goes back to my dirt bike days. I call it, this is just something I made up. This is literally something I made up. But I call it the 90-10-5 rule. And what it is it's 90% of the time and money spent on any hobby is to get the last 10% of performance out of something that only 5% of people will ever notice. That could be motorbike suspension. That could be whether a humbucker has a cover on it or not. So 90% of all the screwing around on the internet and all the questions and everything and all of the things that people nerd out about is just to get this tiny little bit of performance out of it that, are you going to notice? Maybe. So what I would say in those situations is we will do a video on it and we will do a comparison, and I will leave it up to you to see whether you can hear a difference. That is why I do these comparison videos a certain way, where people hate it, man. People really hate it, but where we do like, this versus this, and then we don't tell you the answer until the next video, because I really want an honest evaluation from you, and not like watch the rest of the video and then cheat and come back. And then, because a lot of times what we see and what we hear, what we see influences what we hear. And so people will say, well, it's covered up, so it must sound different than when it's uncovered. Does it really? I mean, you know what I mean? So we're going to do that video, but I would say don't stress about it too much. Definitely, because there are some physics to it when it comes to eddy currents and stuff. But I think for the majority of players in the majority of circumstances, that's pretty overblown. And it's one of those things, like in an A/B test, you can pick it up. But on Friday night in front of 40 people in a bar, are you going to hear it? Or, that's the real question. We will do a video on it. I promise. That is coming. Let's see. Do you have plans on creating some A to Z step-by-step manuals or instructions, or a video for do-it-yourself pickup builders? I have thought of this in the past, and this is something that I am thinking about more and more lately. So stay tuned. I haven't. Yes, is the simple answer. Let me get to it. I would love to do it. But what I would do with this is I would literally, if I did an A to Z step-by-step manual or a guide, it would probably be like a Skillshare course. And I would do it in a way that everybody could do it. Like, maybe I would buy a commonly available winding machine off of eBay or Amazon or something. And then I would get materials from wherever you can get them from. I mean, I get my materials from places that you probably can't get them from. So, unless you buy lots of it. So, I would probably do it that way, like very not beginner's the wrong word, very like cottage, homegrown, like do it yourself at home. That's the way I would probably do it. So it would not appear super professional, like you have to have all this stuff. I would probably do it really, really basic like that. And again, I don't mean basic as in beginner, as in you don't know what you're doing. I don't mean it like that. I just mean attainable for anybody, because some of this stuff, like my equipment that I buy, it only makes sense if you buy like a lot of it or if you're doing it all the time. So that's the trick, is figuring it out to where everybody could do it. So but thanks for giving me more to think about with that, because it's something that I really want to do. I just haven't talked about it a whole lot. Let's see. Scrapple Ron 22 says, what is the drawback to a treble bleed circuit? Is it worth doing? Some people really like them. So here's what happens. As you turn your volume down on your guitar and you get closer to, basically, when you turn your volume down on your guitar, as the resistance falls closer to a short, because when your volume is all the way at 0, it's shorted out. So your resistance goes from whatever the circuit resistance is with a 250K pot, for example. You start turning it down, it starts coming down 250, 240, 230, 220, right? Like however it comes down. As that happens, high frequencies begin to be filtered off the top. So you start to lose some highs as you do that. Personally, I love that, because I think, especially the way we make our pickups to be super wide range, like I don't mean wide range like a Fender, I mean like from really high frequencies to really low frequencies. We try to make them real super flexible. You've heard me talk about that, where I say, instead of having a pickup that does this and then having another pickup that does this, just have one pickup that does all of it. So as a result, you may have some highs in there that you don't want, but if you cut your volume back a little bit, then it goes away. So I use it as a tool when I tune my capacitance and inductance when I build my pickups. So I use that. When you put a resistor and a capacitor across the center lug and the output of your pot, what you're doing is you're basically further filtering low frequencies, because, and what the perception is. So what people say is, when you put a volume mod on your guitar with that capacitor and resistor, they're saying you do it to retain highs. But what you're not. What you're doing is you're further filtering lows so that it sounds like there's more highs. It's a band-aid to a problem that doesn't really exist, in my opinion. If you really want your volume, if you really want those highs when you roll your volume down, then do it. But just know that in a passive guitar, you are not adding anything. In a passive guitar, every component takes away from the available frequencies. Your pickup can make this much stuff. Your pickup can make this much sound. And it has a resonant peak, right? Right here, that's the thing that it does the best. So it makes this much sound. Every component that you add in a guitar, an extra pot is going to take more lows away. An extra capacitor is going to take more highs away. Then the volume mod is going to take more lows away. Then all of a sudden, you have this much that your pickup can do. You're literally, every component you add in a passive guitar takes away signal. Period. You never add it. It cannot be added in a totally passive guitar. Now, in an active guitar, that's a different story. Like an active bass, you have a preamp in there and you can actually boost certain things, like because you literally have like Well, you have a preamp, you have a pedal built into your guitar when you have a preamp. But a passive guitar, normal stuff, every component takes away something that that guitar can do. Just remember that. If you're okay with that, then use it. I'm not. I don't use those. I don't do it. I don't put them in anything. Um, that's the long and the short of it. Do you have a recipe or recommend a nut saddle lubricant? What do you not recommend? Obviously, no silicone products whatsoever. And I do recommend a product, and I will put that product. Let me see if I can share this link with you. And I'm going to actually tell you about something that I did on my website here last week. Let me see if I have this product handy. And I do. When you go to Dylan Talks Tone, I'm going to give you this link right now. YouTube's real weird about me sharing links in the feed. So you might have to like copy and paste it out of here. Let's see. Here you go. So there's the link. When you go to my website, there are a lot of products on that page that I don't physically carry in my store. The reason I don't physically carry them is because it's something that I would have to stock and then I would have to send to you. So that puts like lots of time into it. This will actually take you straight to an Amazon link where you can just buy it and have it primed to your house. I'm doing that with some of this stuff because, like, for example, this fret lube stuff, because we don't sell a whole lot of it and it's just faster and it's honestly cheaper. This is actually cheaper for you. Now, what I will tell you with this is every time you use one of these Amazon links, it does help me out. So I would appreciate it if you did do it because that'd be awesome. And you still get what you want and it's better for you because you don't have to wait as long. So super cool. I'll tell you what, let me run through these comments really quick and get caught up with you because I think everybody's, let's see, we got everybody from all over the place. Do you use pre-slotted nuts? No, I do not. I slot my own nuts. They don't give me the string spacing that I want all the time. And since we build our guitars custom one at a time, not every guitar has the same, string spacing based on whatever the customer wanted. You know what I mean? So, for example, that Super Strat that I just built with the flame top, that was an 1 7/8 nut width, which is the same as an acoustic guitar, super wide, but that's what the customer wanted. I had to make a custom nut for that. Next material for nuts, carbon fiber. I think we talked about that. Let's see. Do you do pickup repairs? I used to do lots of pickup repairs. We no longer do them because of the mobile nature of our life. So we only send stuff out. I do not. We do have an address. If you want to send me something, that's awesome. I appreciate get people send us coffee and stuff sometimes, but it's not something that can be time sensitive, right? Like we don't do that anymore. That rule, so the 90-10-5 rule, that rule sounds accurate, so I'm stealing it. It's just something I came up with because, especially in the dirt bike stuff, I mean, people would spend like thousands of dollars and you put them next to each other and it doesn't necessarily make you faster on Saturday. Like it doesn't. You still have to have skills, right? Same thing with guitar stuff. You can spend a lot of money on this stuff and nerd out about it, but it doesn't necessarily make anything better. Oh, let's see. Does the metal cover affect the magnetic field? Brass can affect it. Copper can affect it via eddy currents. We have a video on it. Maybe I'll do another one about it. Yes. Let's see. Strings and cables don't matter much if there are no gigs. Fair point. That's one of the things I want to talk about next is I'm going to give you guys some ideas, stuff you may have not thought of if you are, because we do a lot of social media stuff. So I was going to talk about that in just a minute. just to try to give you some ideas of possibly to be able to continue, making some dough. Um, let's see. Do. Yeah, carbon fiber would be really abrasive. You're exactly right. My Strat pickups, I think you sent me an email about this or put this in a post somewhere. My Strat pickups have a copper shield around them with a grounded shielding wire. They seem a bit muted, and I've read that by removing the shield ground third pickup wire, it will help brighten them up. Um, I wouldn't do that. This again, it depends on what it is. If it's okay, if it's a really inexpensive Strat, like a Squire or something, chances are they're doing it to keep them quiet because they're real noisy. If it is an expensive guitar and somebody has taken the time to TCI the pickups, then chances are it's probably okay and it's made to be that way. Again, this goes back to don't mod something if there's no reason to do it. Are there more highs in that pickup? Possibly. You might be able to get them out by taking that tape off. But A, you might risk ruining your pickup because that tape goes around the outside of the windings and you can screw it up. And B, it's probably going to get noisier and you're going to hate that. It's the trade-off may not be worth it, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that's the thing. All right, so first of all, let's do a couple things, and then we're going to talk about giveaways. One more thing I want to talk about is, um, obviously, with everything that's going on in the world, and I did not put this in, um, I did not put this in the title. I did not SEO this and try to, uh, you know, capitalize on any kind of anything. And I'm not even going to say the words so that it doesn't come up in any whatever. But we all know that the music business is suffering right now because of the way the world is. And one of the things I was thinking about this morning is should we do a couple of, and I wanted to get input from you, should we do a couple of videos on, and I could crank these out like later this week or early next week, on how to live stream, give you some pointers on high quality live streams so that you as musicians, if you do make your living making music, then chances are you are suffering no matter where you are in the world right now. And so there are some constructive ideas and some things we could do to continue to make a few bucks, or at least if not make the actual money. It's very important to continue to stay active. So social media is very interesting. You notice that I'm real consistent with how I post. So Monday videos, Thursday lives every week. And our Instagram and our Facebook and everything, we're real consistent about that. If I take 1 week off, I almost have to start all over again because the algorithms lose me and I have to go get back into it. So it's real important to stay active on social media if you're a musician. Even if you don't have gigs to advertise, even if you don't have anything to share with anybody right now, make sure that you're still there. Make sure that you're still sharing things. And I personally, if it was me, I would not capitalize on any misfortune of anybody. Like I wouldn't put, and I'm not even saying the popular search terms for what's going on right now. I wouldn't even use that. I would just be concerned about the positive things that you can share as a musician and how you can continue to network and continue to communicate with your audience. And I would definitely not stop doing that. I would do that every day. Like make sure. And if it means getting on the Instagrams and on YouTubes and on Facebook and literally like, um, you know, playing a few chords, singing a song, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Do something. Be very careful with cover songs. All of the algorithms these days are going to pick up cover songs and they're going to cut them. And they're actually, if even if they don't delete the song, uh, they will actually push you down in searches. So if you can at all share original material, that would be this is a great time to do it. And then, of course, direct people to your Bandcamp. I saw something, I think it's this Friday, for 24 hours. Bandcamp is not going to take any royalties. And so they're hoping that if you can push people to your Bandcamp on Friday, that they're going to actually, you'll actually make some money. I don't know if you've heard that or not, but you should Google that to get the details on it. I don't 100% know. So make sure that you do that and get those details. But uh, these are things that I would think about. I would not, I would not, like I said, you don't want to capitalize on a negative situation. In fact, YouTube has a policy against that. Like if you got on YouTube and said, started to try to like put a bunch of stuff in your titles so that it would search and all that, it actually will look at your video and see if you're just like trying to do that, and it will push you down in the search. So be very discreet about that part of it, but just continue to share positively the things that you want to share. Keep sharing your music, keep sharing with your friends, and stay active. Very, very important to stay active on social media in a positive way. I know everybody's active on social media, and I know they're going crazy with stuff, but to stay, and what I would also recommend doing is avoid sharing news stories. I know this sounds crazy, but I would avoid sharing news stories about what's going on. Here's why. And I don't do this very often. Don't share news stories about what's going on. I don't share news stories in general. The reason is because, especially on Facebook and on YouTube, the fact-checky stuff, and we don't need to get into the politics about who's right about it, but I'm just telling you the facts of it, that Facebook will literally, it happened to Leslie. She shared a story that ended up being false, and she didn't know it, and Facebook like pinged her for that. Um, oh, that's right. She shared a story. Yeah, she's just reminding me. She shared a story that was false on purpose. She was like, "This story is false. There's a whole bunch of stuff wrong in this article." She was trying to educate her audience, and Facebook still like pinged her on that. Where's Leslie? I haven't seen her for a bit. She is. Oh, she's coming. She's coming. She's here.
With wet hair.
Yeah, with wet hair.
Everybody.
So don't share news stories if you're trying to grow your audience, because what if one of those is partially false, or it gets fact checked by somebody, or etc. Like, be real careful with that and just focus on your positive message. That, and I don't get super into this stuff all the time, but this is one time where I think it's real important, because we want to make sure that we don't lose our audience. We want to make sure that we don't have to start over, because this is hurting us enough in this business. My YouTube views are way down. I really thought that my YouTube views are going to go up, because I figured, oh, everybody's staying home, they're all going to watch YouTube. But I don't think so. I think everybody's real concerned right now with everything, and they're watching the news, and they're watching all this other stuff, right, instead of watching like how to make guitar stuff. So what you can do is share positive stuff, give people a place to go, and not lose your audience over that time. So that's one thing. And if you do want me, I just saw a few people say, let's see, yes, live stream tutorials, yes, do the live stream vids, etc., etc. Yeah, dude, I'll do it. There's a few things that we can do. Do not rename your band to hand sanitizer or toilet paper. Be cool. Dude, that's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So, that and I think that's the problem. I think, okay, and somebody said that's true. I think I'm watching more news now than ever. And not to get all off in the weeds here with this, but You know, we were just listening to something else this morning talking about don't watch the news too much. You're going to hear the same thing over and over every time, and it's just going to get you. Leslie was saying this yesterday, too. She's like, I feel stressed, but I don't really have anything to stress about. Like, we're sitting in the woods, like self quarantined. You know what I mean? Like, we're sitting in the woods. Nobody's bothering us. Everything's cool. Uh, and there's no reason if you're staying home and doing all the right things to be stressed about it. But at the same time, you watch the news and it gets you stressed out and it takes you off of your game, right? And so if we're supposed to be people that are creating music and encouraging other people and being the positive light for other people, don't watch the news so much, man. Uh, Watch YouTube videos like on this channel. I'm just kidding. Yeah, man. Um, no, I think it's super important. Okay, so let's talk about some giveaways, man. Let's talk about some fun stuff. Um, I am going to pick. Here's what I want to do. Real quick. I don't even know who this is. I cannot remember seeing this name. But I'm just going to put this in the comments. Okay, I just added a comment. That dude right there. If you're still here, hopefully you're still here. Let me know if you're still here and I'll tell you why. If you're okay. Go to he left. Everybody's like, he left, give it to me. They don't even know what they're getting yet. Go to my website, use the contact form, and shoot me an email. Okay. I'm giving you last month's giveaway because the person who won it never contacted me again. So I have last month's giveaway sitting in a pile. So you just won without even knowing it. You just won the guitar maintenance kit from last month's giveaway. That's got a tuner. It's got a fret polishing kit, I think. It's got some other stuff in there. It's got a Cruise Tools toolkit. It's got it's like $125 worth of stuff. It's really super cool. So go to dylantalkstone.com and hit the contact me thing and send me an email and let me know where you are. I don't care where you are in the world. It doesn't matter. It could be a different country. As long as I can ship there, I will send it to you. So that's number one of 3 giveaways. We're going to talk about a couple more. I want to start hyping. Oh, you're in Sacramento. Very cool. I want to start hyping up like we did last time because I think we're at what 34,000 views. We're going to start talking about our 40,000 subscriber giveaway. I don't have it yet. It is a pre-order. It is on back order, but it is coming. And I will tell you, it is the coolest thing, I think, because I don't have it yet, but I think it's super cool and I'm really excited about it. So the 40,000 subscriber giveaway thing is coming. So make sure that you please share this channel with your friends. Make sure you share the video with your friends. That would be great. It's that new PRS. No, actually, Mr. Zach bought that from me and I am shipping that to him tomorrow. So there is that. So that's the second thing. Now the other thing, the third thing that will end up being a video and a few videos and a giveaway. I need to get your input on this. I have in my possession a Schecter C1, which is a double humbucker Floyd Rose guitar. I can't give the guitar away because it belongs to a friend of mine. However, I want to do a video on active pickups. We've never done anything about active stuff. So I thought I'm going to buy either, and I think I already know the answer, so you tell me, and I'm going to put a survey up on YouTube later today probably, and I'm going to let it go for a few days. But we've been talking about this over on patreon.com, on our Patreon already, with some of the people over there that are a part of it. um I have the choice, or I am making the choice, between a set of EMG 8185s, because that's what everybody uses, because those are like standard active pickups, or we could really go insane and buy a set of Fluence modern active pickups. So I'm going to use the Patreon money that's been coming in from patreon.com to buy these pickups. But I only can afford at this point to buy one set. So it's either EMG 8185s or a set of Fluence Moderns. And we're going to do some videos with them, and then I'm going to give them away to all of you, or one of all of you. So tell me which ones you think I should get, 8185s or the Fluence Moderns. Let me know what you think. Put it in the comments. Put it in the comments of the video. I'm really excited about this, but I need help deciding, and I'm gonna allow. Yeah, I knew people were gonna blow up about the Fluences. I assumed that is the case. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna put. It's a whole screen already of just Fluent. People want Fluences. They don't care about no EMGs. Um, they sound more interesting. Yeah, I just think they're not as common, so I think it would be kind of fun. We're gonna use that. So we're gonna do a series of videos, because we're gonna do some active videos. We're gonna do some active stuff. I'm gonna do an install video. We're gonna talk about how the pots are different and all that kind of stuff. And then we're gonna do a Floyd Rose setup video, because I have that Floyd Rose guitar. Um, yeah, and we're gonna give that away. Do you have silver wire? No, and I will not have silver wire. Speaking of the 90-10-5 rule, holy crap, $800 pickups for some silver wire. I don't think so. I've been playing on a Squire Bullet for 5 years. My opinion is useless. I'm here to learn from... Dude, if you've been playing on a Squire Bullet for 5 years, first of all, mad props for playing for 5 years. That's super cool. Secondly, your opinion obviously matters, because you've been playing guitar, and that's all that matters. We don't care about the rest of it. Active versus regular. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to put in a set of 8 balls, and then because those are my high output pickup, I'm going to make a set of 8 balls for it, and then I'll probably make a set, and then we'll have those Fluences, and we'll do that. Yeah, so I think that's going to be awesome. Dude, thanks for hanging out, everybody. This is awesome. I know it went a little long today. We're 8:43, but that stuff about helping out you guys as musicians, and all of us, really, I really hope that we can do that, and share this stuff, be a part of what we're doing, and you know. So here's the funny thing. I always used to say, I'll leave you with this. I always used to say, EMGs, I hated them, right? Like, I hate EMGs. I can't stand them. But then you get to thinking about it, and you're like, do you really hate EMGs? Because not all of your, but a lot of your favorite guitar tones are EMGs. I mean, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer. What's that? What's that band I love? What's that song? Snap your fingers, snap your neck. I forget. Anyway, I did this. I went down this whole rabbit hole one day, and I was like, wait a minute. There's like 15 of my favorite songs that, like, I'm like, dang, dude, like, I love these songs, and I've loved them since I was a kid, and I've loved their guitar tone. All EMGs. So you can't say you hate EMGs, because we like the music that they make. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for hanging out. You guys have been awesome. We will see you next Thursday. We've got a video coming out on Monday. I don't know what it is yet, because we kind of got stuck on some other stuff. Oh, do me a favor, guys. Real quick, make sure that you subscribe to my other channel. We live in a motorhome now. And, you know, we're doing a lot of cool stuff. And we're doing a lot of traveling. And so here, make sure you subscribe to this other channel.
So
Link.
they can see me.
And so you can see more of Leslie. That's what she said. That's what she said. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Make sure you share this stuff. Subscribe to the channel and check out some of our other crazy stuff that we're doing. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks for hanging out.